In this video, I'm going to have a look at the different types of arithmetic operators in Python. By that I mean plus, minus, multiply and divide. Okay, so when we put code into a program and we want to add two things together, we just use the normal plus sign. If we want to subtract two things, we have the normal minus. And if we want to multiply, we have the asterisk, which is shift 8. Dividing is the slash. And then we've got brackets, which are just the two brackets, so shift 9, shift 10. So if we were going to do any calculations, this is the kind of variable, this is the kind of operators we would use with the variables. Okay, so an example layout could be, if we have got a wage variable set up here, so we're setting up a wage variable, we have got an hours variable already set up, and we have got a rate variable already set up. Now that could be either reading it in from the user, or that could just be setting it up by putting it statically inside the program. So we want to have a calculation going on here, so we have to cast these variables. So we're casting hours as float, so it has a decimal point. We're casting rate as float, so it has a decimal point. And then we multiply the two of them together, and whatever the result is, it gets stuck inside this area in memory called wage. Okay, so remember, a float is just a variable with a decimal point. Another thing that we have to think about is, I don't know what it was called when you guys were at school, but for me it was known as BODMAS. So what you've got to do is you've got to think about the calculation itself. The way a program operates is it will calculate whatever's inside brackets first. Then it does this thing called logic operators, which I'll get to later. Then it will divide, then it will multiply, then it will do any addition and any subtraction. So dependent on what you're doing, you have to be careful what way you actually put the information into the program. So thinking about BODMAS, or brackets take the highest precedence, so that is the thing that happens first. Then these things, logic operators, happen, then divide happens, multiply and add and subtract. So depending on what you're doing, sometimes you have to be careful where you place things and possibly use brackets roundabout, maybe in addition, if you want that to happen first. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at an example here. So it's just a basic demonstration, and we're using input and this multiplication. So again, I start it the way I would normally do. I've got author, date, what it's about. So I've got name equals input, please enter your name. So it takes whatever's typed in. At the moment it'll just take it in and it stores it as text or a string, str. And then we've got hours. So hours equals input. So remember, input's the keyword that will take whatever the user types and store it into the variable. So it will store whatever hours are entered by the user, and then please enter your hours as written out to the screen. And then we have rate. So rate equals, and I've got input again, please enter your rate. So we're asking the user to enter a number. Whatever they enter is taken in and stored inside rate. But however, I haven't actually cast any of these, and with variables in Python, they have to be cast. You need to give them a variable type. Okay, so this is where we have to cast or change the variable type so that we can actually do a multiplication on it. So first of all, I'm writing out print hello there, comma name. So in this case, when I was running the program, I just typed my own name in there. So it's going to write out hello there, Violet, as you can see here. And then we've got wage equals, and then whatever the person typed in for rate, I'm making it a float number. So a float number is just a number with a decimal point. And then the asterisk is for multiplication. And then again, I've got float. So whatever the person typed in for hours, I'm making it a number with a decimal point. So I'm going to multiply these two together. So I entered the number of hours as 2.75, the rate as 9.45. So it's going to multiply those two numbers together and store it inside wage. Then all we're doing is we're going to write out the result to the screen. So I've got print, your wage is, I've got a pound sign, and then I'm just using the word wage. So the word wage itself will just write out whatever is in the contents of that area in memory. In this case, it's 25.98749 and so on. It will write out the full number because I haven't limited the amount of decimal places that it's written out to. So the only thing to really remember is that you can take these numbers in and you take them in as a string. You can cast them, you can change them to something else within the actual program itself, or as you'll see later, you can actually do it when you read it in as well. So that was an example of using multiplication. Have a look at the exercises on Canvas. If there's anything you don't understand, ask me.